Hey, yo, this is Dash, and this is Vicky. In case you do not know who Vicky is, I'm sure you've probably seen in the title, not the title, but the opening credits, if you will, of my videos. Vicky, this is Vicky, my insulated vertical reverse flow smoker. But she and I'm not feeling 100% this morning, but she and I are gonna get some work done today. I have a brisket I need to take care of. Here's my brisket. I have some baby back ribs I need to take care of. Here are my ribs. And I'm gonna take you guys on the journey along with me. Hey yo, this is Dash. Get ready. All right, so welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, thanks for popping in. If you're a longer term viewer, just leave a comment down below. Hey, if you haven't already, please hit that thumbs up button too. I greatly appreciate it. I got to get in the habit of asking you guys to hit that thumbs up and like the video and all of those things that YouTubers have to say a little more forward in the videos. So, in case you do not know, Vicky runs on charcoal, and there's my clean out here, and it looks like the last time I used it, I cleaned it out fairly well. So because I'm not feeling well this morning, excuse me, I'm not going to worry so much about cleaning every little bit of ash out of here, because there's plenty of room for more ash from a new fire. Speaking of which, so I'm using some Royal Oak briquettes here, and I told you guys in a previous video how to open up these bags. You face the label, excuse me, face the front label towards you, pull the string, and it comes right out. Most sewn closed bags will do that. Now I'm only going to put, we'll see how much this bag of charcoal that was the whole bag. So we'll get that in there. If I were using lump charcoal, then I wouldn't add wood to this, but because I'm using briquettes, I'm gonna add a split. Oh, that'll hopefully fit in here and it doesn't too long. Come on. I don't want to have to cut it. Just get another split. I'll be right back. All right, finally, I found the smaller split. So we're gonna check that down into here. All right, so I'm gonna clean off this edge and then go get my torch and get this started. I'll be right back. All right, I am back with my torch, and I'm just going to open it up a little bit. Come on. usually put the torch on there until I get the grates on the charcoal basket red hot. Then I know there's enough heat that's gone into the charcoal. I'm gonna get this turned off, and I'm going to get my brisket trimmed and seasoned, and then I have 2 racks of baby back ribs. I'm going to get them trimmed and seasoned. I'll bring you guys back when it's time for me to load the smoker. All right, so I just thought of something. Since a lot of you guys haven't seen this cooker before, you're like, how's it reverse flow? Well, the fire happens down here in the charcoal, the firebox, basically, for all intents and purposes, even though it's just a charcoal basket. But the heat comes up this left side of the cooker, out the top, and as you can see, down. But the exhaust is way down at the bottom. It's actually at the back of this bottom grate, so the whole, everything reverses direction in this cooker, vertically versus horizontally in some of your more traditional reverse flow smokers. But I am going to get this closed up and get my charcoal chimney kind of fixed to the back so that it directs some of the heat and smoke out of the garage. All right, I hope you enjoyed that time lapse, but it's time for me to load the smoker. All right, so like I said, I'm not feeling 100% this morning, so I do apologize for the lack of energy, but the show must go on. That being said, I have a brisket and I have 2 racks of ribs. Time to get them loaded right now. My handy dandy garden tool implement. I won't say what it is, but I failed to mention I put some water down in the bottom of the smoker. I did it kind of out of habit, and the camera was not. Anyway, so I added a few gallons of water down to the bottom, and I'm going to get my brisket up here, and I'm going to put my ribs down here. So I have Pauline sitting right here to my left, but this is my brisket. This brisket started life has about 15 pounds. It was 15 and a half pounds. So here's my brisket. And I have some ribs. Let me get those. There's 1 rack of baby back ribs. There's 2 racks of baby back ribs. Here are my ribs. All right, so now I'm gonna get this closed off. And I don't need to open it up or do anything to it for another 2 hours or so. I do have a thermometer in here. Maybe you can see it. It's kind of stuck to it's a wireless thermometer. I have that affixed to the door. I'm gonna get this closed off and fire up the wireless thermometer that I have so I can monitor the temperature inside of the cooker. And I'll be back to either adjust. The way this smoker works is there's a ball valve on the bottom right side of the cooker. It's down here. And I just put probably about a 1/2 inch crack in the ball, and then it will have the temperature. It should settle in at about 225, 250 degrees, but I will come back in about a half an hour, 45 minutes and check the temperature to see where it's at. All right, I figured I would show you guys I won't say the end result, but this is what it looks like once the fire is started and we are rolling off to the races. The majority of what you're seeing right now is steam actually coming out of there. Once the charcoal gets up to temperature, it heats up the water at the bottom of the cooker and it produces more steam than anything. So once the fire really gets going, and especially in the winter, you see nothing but steam coming out of this cooker. But we are, like I said, I'm going to just kind of sit and monitor the temperature on the cooker for about an hour, half an hour, 45 minutes to make sure it gets dialed in where I need it to be. Oh, while I'm standing here, I can show you, this is the ball valve, and you can see just how much I have it open or not open. And I know from experience that that'll get my temperature right at about the 250 degree mark. If it gets warmer than that, excuse me, where my brisket is, I will just close off that valve just a little bit. But like I said, I'll see you guys in half an hour, 45 minutes. It has been 45 minutes, and so this is my thermometer. This is the upper thermometer, and you can tell but you can see there's a difference between the lower temperature and the upper temperature because the heat, of course, comes in from the top. The top side is going to be warmer, and I know that, and I'm okay with that. I have the wireless fireboard thermometer in the brisket right now, and it's showing me that the temperature is getting close to 260 degrees. So what I'm going to do is back down the opening just a smidge, so you can hopefully see that we're at like a quarter of an inch in there. All right, hopefully that'll taper my temperature off, and we will continue to cook. I will continue to monitor the temperature, and I'll bring you guys back if anything exciting happens. But honestly enough, I don't expect anything really exciting to happen for another hour or two. All right, so our cook has been going for just about 2 hours, and I want to show you guys, this is the notification from the Fireboard app with the wireless thermometer. It is working pretty well. At the top you can see the time, and down here you can see charts with the thermometers tracking. Hopefully it's in focus. Come on. All right, there we go. So you can see the time at the top. We're right at 2 hours. Wireless probe, and then it shows the internal temperature and the external temperature. Like I said, I wanted it to kind of settle in at 275-ish degrees, and now it's on the downward trend. So adjusting the thermometer, or excuse me, adjusting the ball valve when I did knock the trajectory down, and we've been it's been 2 hours. I don't need to open this up. I don't need to do anything at this point. I know. So my thermometer at the top is showing about 280 degrees, which is true to what it's showing me on that thermometer. And then the temperature where it's lower is showing just under 250 degrees. So those ribs are getting cooked as well. I'm not in a rush. It's not even 8 o'clock in the morning. This delivery needs to happen at 5 o'clock this afternoon. So everything needs to be done, and I need to be out of the house by 4. So I have plenty of time to finish this brisket and to finish these ribs. The ribs will obviously be done well before the brisket is, and then I have green beans I need to take care of. So at this point, I'm just gonna, let it ride. Let this ride for another hour, and then I will come back and actually open this up and check on my brisket and my ribs. Probably I'll probably wrap my ribs at that point, and then I might switch the position of the ribs and the brisket in the cooker. I'll put the ribs in a pan because there's 2 racks of ribs. I'll put them in a pan. I'll get some of that butter spray on them, and I might put them a little higher in the cooker just so that they will finish sooner. And by the time they are done, the brisket should have 4, maybe 5 hours of smoke on it, and then I'll take that in the house and get it done. So I'll see you guys in a bit. Bye. Oh yeah, I'm feeling a little better now. We are at almost the 3-hour mark, and I got a notification that said my brisket is at 150 degrees. I don't mind. I like pulling my briskets at about 150 degrees because, hold on, let me move the camera a little bit. That's a little better. Because it gives me more jus. Look at all that jus to work with, deal with. Yeah. So at this point, I think And also my temperature is starting to drop. I haven't looked in my charcoal, my firebox here, but yeah, that charcoal is almost done. So that was an entire bag of charcoal. It is what it is. Usually one cook, one bag of charcoal, or these are 14-pound bags. If I'm using the 20-pound bag from like a Kingsford bag, I usually put half a bag of charcoal or a little more than half a bag. So this is pretty much right where it needs to be. All right. So first impressions, we are moving right along. My ribs are looking pretty good. Let me get you guys in here so you can see it a little better. Ribs are looking pretty good. Decent color on those ribs. I think, again, we're at about that 3-hour mark. So I'm going to pull the ribs in a second, but I'm going to deal with the brisket first. And we got this edge, again, because the heat is coming down off the top. What I probably should do is move the brisket down a little bit. I just realized that you probably couldn't see what I was looking at all that well because of the fact that there's not enough light on it. But this edge is a little crispy, a little hot because of how, again, the heat comes in from this cooker. So at this point, like I said, I'm just gonna wrap everything up and let it ride. Like I said, my brisket is at 150 degrees. That's usually typically where I do pull my briskets. So what I'm gonna do is actually take the brisket in the house. I'm gonna leave the ribs out here on this cooker, but put the ribs on this shelf because there's still enough residual heat. And I'm going to turn up or open up the ball valve just a little to get more heat in there. I'll also jostle the charcoal and we'll get that temp bumped up just a smidge. So let me go ahead and get this brisket wrapped up and get the ribs wrapped up. So gloves on, 2 pans here. Let's get the brisket in 1 pan. Take the thermometer out of that because I'm going to wrap this up and put it in the house. I've showed you guys in past videos what I do when I wrap my briskets. There's nothing in the pan. I'm just going to put some foil on top in a moment. Let's get those ribs. There are the ribs. And I'm going to get these sprayed with some Parquet, or I can't believe it's not butter. Let's say this is a secret ingredient, okay? Again, we're not putting anything else in this pan aside from the ribs. And now I'm just going to take the ribs, turn them over, meat side down. Take the ribs and turn them over, meat side down, and spray some butter on the back side too, just for some additional flavor. All right, that's it. At this point, we wrap. So my brisket, I'm gonna wrap up and take it in the house, put it in the oven. And my ribs, I'm going to wrap them and leave them out here in the smoker, just because at this point, I'll tell you in a second back at the smoker. All right, pro tip, because I'm going to be using putting the ribs on the rack that was already dirty. Now, mind you, I scraped it off with a scraper to clean it up a little bit, but I'm going to put a piece of aluminum foil on the grate to keep the bottom of my pan clean, so that I can then take this pan that I put the ribs in and give it to my customer. Simple enough, right? All right, look at that. Again, putting the ribs in the pan on aluminum foil to keep the pan, the bottom of the pan, clean so that I can give it to my customer later once the ribs are done. So I will come back and check on those ribs in about an hour. Set my timer right now for an hour. All right, off to the house or off to my kitchen. I'm gonna put my brisket in the oven at 300 degrees, and you guys have seen that before, so I'm not gonna bore you with that, but I will bring you back when the ribs finish. Yeah, I'll bring you back when the ribs finish. See you guys in a bit. It's just after 10 o'clock, which means this has been on for 5 hours? 5 hours? 3, 4, 5, what time is it? Yeah, 5. 5 hours. Sometimes time flies when you're having fun running errands and doing other things like that. But let's temp them for good measure. This is my thermometer. Here it is. Little low. That says 185. This one, well, that's why. This one is closer to the heat. You show 190. 185. All right, so I'm gonna take these and put them in the oven in the house for 20 minutes or so, and they should be at the temperature I need them to be done. Oh, if you could smell these ribs. They're almost done. Like I said, I'm gonna take them in the house, wrap them up, well, put the foil back on top, put them in the oven for another 20 minutes, half an hour, and they should be good and finished. What else is there to do? So that's it. The brisket still has probably another hour, maybe hour and some change on it, but I will go inside and check that right now. All right, you're joining me in the kitchen. That's a little warm. Let's check the temperature on this brisket. Oh my goodness. That's at 185. All right, let's get these ribs down in here. And that's it. I'll see you guys in about a half an hour when I check those ribs again. All right, so it's been another half an hour. These look done. Yeah. 192, 190. This part's over 200. This rack this is 193, 189. Yes, I'm washing the thermometer here. I'm actually going to turn these over and just let them go for a little bit longer. Let's see how I can do this without hurting myself. All right, so I'm gonna wrap these guys back up and let it ride. Now, if I were going to put sauce on these ribs, this would be the point where I would uncover them and then put sauce on them. But this particular customer doesn't want sauce, so it makes it easy for me. I don't have to sauce them. Yeah. All right. I'll check on these in another 15-20 minutes. And that brisket, I don't know. Actually, I do know. I'm going to go get a probe, a temperature probe, and stick it in the brisket and probably the ribs too. And then it'll take all the guesswork out of it. All right. Let's see. Decade-old thermometer. So let me know that my ribs have gotten to a rib checking temperature. So let's check the ribs. Still feel a little tough, but let's open this up and take a look. They are all over. Oh yeah, these are nice and soft. Of course, the thin end is going to be feel. No. All right. Okay, so ribs done. I'm going to pull the ribs out, let them sit on the counter for a little bit, cool, and then I'll get them covered back up. And now we're just waiting on the brisket.
One eternity later.
All right. A few minutes later, we're checking the brisket. Smells good. Ooh. It feels good. Ooh. Oh yeah, buddy. All right. Okay, coach. Oh yeah, coach. All right. Brisket. Ooh. Woo. Do not attempt that. All right, there you have it. This brisket, and I won't say a lot of people, but a few people ask me why I pull my briskets so early at 150 degrees ish. The reason is all of the jus that's in this pan. Now, the cooker that I used produced a much, I won't say finer, but a darker, heavier bark than, say, normal, but then the pellet cooker does. But actually it's not hard, it's just darker. All right, so that makes me feel good. I'm just gonna let this thing hang out here for a little bit. I have some time. I don't have to do anything with it for a while. It is it's noon, so this brisket went on the cooker. It went on the smoker at 5 a.m. I lose track of time when I'm cooking, so that's why I don't. When people ask how long did it take, I don't know. I kind of set timers and just kind of keep track and say I'll check it every X number of minutes. But this one I actually set a timer, and I set a temperature probe. And again, the probe is a guide. It's not, my guide is between 200 and 205 degrees. I have a window in there where I say, okay, let me check it at this temperature. Is it good? Nope. Okay, let it go for another degree or two and see. Every brisket is different. Your mileage may vary. Anyway, I'm gonna let this sit here for about an hour. In that hour, I have to go get some onions so I can start these green beans. Anyway, I'll see you guys back before we're done. You guys want to see me cut this up or what? I mean, you guys have seen me cut up millions of briskets at this point, but do you want to see me cut this one up too? Maybe I'll also probably cut up the ribs for my customer. Just make it easier on them. Anyway, I'll see you guys in a bit. all that jus. Woo. And the brisket. Yes.
Many minutes later.
All right, let's land this brisket plane. The brisket has been cooling for about an hour and a half now, and it's time for me to cut it up. So let's move this off to my left. Let me get my cutting board. Whomever gave me the wetting a paper towel and putting it under the cutting board, I won't say trick, but information, however many years ago it was, I am still very grateful because it works and helps out a lot. If I can only find my knife. Brisket knife. You guys hear me talking about this fat separator in almost every video. This one is mine. This is a very old one that I broke the handle off on years ago, but it still works, so I still use it. There are links in the description to my Amazon store where you could purchase or find one just like this. All right, so let's get this brisket out of here. It is not cool completely. It's still warm to the touch. Just let that drip for a second. How's your day going? My day? It's been a day. You guys saw I wasn't feeling so well this morning. Still not 100%, but I feel better than I did. Pouring the jus off. Clean as we go. Got a little brisket drippings there. Sean, I'm gonna move this far away so I can't spill that. Sean commented in one of the, I won't say last videos, but one of the videos I did not too long ago with brisket that all he was doing was focusing on the jus. He was worried I was gonna knock it over, or he was worried he would knock it over. All right, so this brisket, I aggressively trimmed the fat line out of it. So it was pretty much already separated for me. Hopefully you can see the steam coming off of it. It is still warm. All right, I'm gonna take the flat, turn it over, then slices in here. Before I get in too deep, I'll show you. Oh yeah, coach. That's not bad. Again, that was it. That charcoal. That was the whole bag. And a small split. All right, finally found the smaller split. So we're gonna check that down into here. All right. Because this is for, I'm gonna say, a smaller event at someone's home, I would normally just cut it in half, but I'm just gonna go with my normal, cut it into 3 pieces, 3 parts here, and this will make it easier for me to portion. I'm gonna pick up the brisket with my knife and put it into my pan here. If I were making brisket beans, these little pieces would make it into the brisket beans. But we're doing green beans today, and I'm not putting any meat into the green beans. Let's move this and this a little bit so I can get this out. All right. Now let's cut up the point. For the point, I'm gonna cut with the grain. I'm just gonna feel this out. This is, actually, there's a fair bit of meat there. That might be mine for later. All right, so I'm gonna come in here about 1.5 inches and cut with the grain. I'm gonna take and turn these, move them out of the way. This move here. And then the rest of this, I'm going to turn. Actually, before I forget, let's turn my pan around so I can make this easy on myself. Now I'm feeling this and I'm looking at this. I can see there's a bunch of fat right there. So we're just gonna cut that out. And we'll get our slices going. You know, 1/4 inch, 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch slices here. And I'm just gonna cut up the whole thing and then transfer it into my pan. And then once I'm finished, I have to weigh this out because this particular order was for 3 pounds of brisket. So I'm gonna take care of that first, and then I will weigh out and vacuum seal some other brisket. So my camera just overheated, and I'm like, that's kind of strange. Why did it overheat? Well, I realized when I did that slow motion shot to open up the brisket, I never turned the camera off of slow motion.
Your boy has no skills.
So I filmed a whole bunch of sequences with slow motion on. That just means I have a whole bunch of work I have to do to take the slow motion footage and speed it up in post.
I don't think you have the facilities for that, big man.
And add sound. Yay. Fun times. All right, so there you have it. This brisket is done. This brisket is actually for the same customer who a few weeks ago ordered 3 pounds of brisket and a rack of ribs. So it's for the same person, but this time they wanted 2 racks of ribs instead of just 1. But you guys have seen me do the weighing of the brisket and getting it out to them. So at this point, I'm gonna leave you guys and thank you guys as always for watching. If you haven't already, please do subscribe. If you like what you saw today, if you learned something, please leave me some feedback down below. And I'll see you next time. I gotta get back to work.
More butter, baby.